A pivot table summarizes what's generally going on in a large list. A large tabular list that has generally got a lot of duplicated information can be summarized with a pivot table. Let's have a look. I have a list here, and if I go to Insert in the ribbon, I can choose Pivot Table or Recommended Pivot Tables. If I click Recommended Pivot Tables, Excel actually takes a moment to look at my data and recommends these various layouts or summaries that could be generated based on my current list. And if one of these suited my needs, I would just choose it from the list. But I'm going to cancel the recommended pivot tables and create my own from scratch. While I'm sitting in the list, from the Insert tab, just click the Pivot Table button. Excel will first of all just wiggle and confirm that this pivot table is to be based on the cells A1 to H271 in the target sheet, which is absolutely correct. And it's going to put this pivot table in a new worksheet rather than an existing worksheet. So I'll just click OK. This is what I'm immediately presented with. I have on the right hand side what's called a field list, and I have in my ribbon the Pivot Table Tools Analyze tab currently selected, and the Pivot Table Tools Design tab there should I need it. So I'm seeing my Pivot Table tab in my ribbon, and I'm seeing my Pivot Table field list. And here on my spreadsheet or on my worksheet is where I start to construct my pivot table. I'd like to grab a field from this list here, and these fields are based on the columns that are in my source. So if I go back to targets, the column headings here are listed in this field list. So I might decide, right, let's grab department and let's make it a column. So I'm literally going to drag department into the columns box. And here you see my departments shown as columns. Or I might think, actually, no, I think I'd rather see departments as rows. So I move department into rows. So it's just a matter of being comfortable with moving fields between these four sections. With my departments as rows, I might decide to put my regions as columns. So I drag region into columns. And here are my regions as column headings and my departments as rows. I can also switch them around. I might put that in the columns box and that in the rows box. And that's even more concise in terms of layout. Now where a department and a region come together, I'll decide what values I want to see by putting something in the values box. I might decide that I want to grab actual and put that in the values section. And it automatically sums actual because actual are numbers. And if it thinks that the values are numbers, it will by default sum. So I can see here in my pivot table the total actual sales for automotive, for engineering, for marketing, and for overall. I can also see the total of sales for Auckland, for Christchurch, Hamilton, Kawerau, and overall. So this is a fantastic summary of what's actually going on back here in this huge targets list. Instead of printing this, I would prefer to print this. This provides information about what's going on with that data. And that's why pivot tables are so popular.